traits. We're doing the personality puzzle by Florence Latour and Marita Latour, chapters 9, 10, and 11 tonight, part 2, how to understand the personalities in your workplace. Let's begin by prayer. Heavenly Father, we thank you that we're able to meet here tonight. We thank you in advance that each person will receive what you have them to receive, and that we learn more about you as we study in this class. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
So last week, we covered the popular sanguine. Are we having fun yet? And the perfect melancholy. Are things perfect? We also went over 2 personalities trying to ascertain the primary and secondary personalities. We did myself and we did Aston. So it was fun. Tonight we will cover the powerful choleric. Am I in charge yet? And the peaceful phlegmatic, Are we relaxed yet? And the various combinations. And people have asked before, are we going to do combinations? Yes, we will. Also, if we have volunteers, we will go over another or 2 personalities in the class. Those on Zoom are welcome to participate. Not only welcome, but encouraged. You're part of the class. Okay, I have a story. I knew a man who used to walk by an old person's home. Now, it's an old story because we're talking about an old person's home. And he would go by every day for his walk in the morning. And the people were sitting out on the porch, and the men were sitting out there, and they were calling numbers. And so they would call a number, and then everyone would laugh. And they would call another number, and everyone would laugh. And this went on for days. And it's finally, he went up to him and said, excuse me, but I walk by here every day and you call out numbers and then someone laughs. And I just don't understand. Would you clue me in what you're doing? And so one of the gentlemen said, sure, Sonny, I'll let you know what we're doing here. What we did was we knew we didn't have a lot of time. So we took our best jokes and we gave them a number. So now when we tell the number, we remember the joke and we all laugh. So the man said, hey, can I have a try at this? Sure, Sonny, go ahead. So he shouts out 3. No laughter. He thought, well, maybe that wasn't such a good joke. So he shouts 10, and no one laughs again. And he thought, well, I'll try one more. So he shouts out 17, still no laughter. So he says, I don't get it. When you guys tell a number, you all laugh. But when I tell a number, no one laughs. Well, Sonny, the joke is good, but the delivery is horrible. So my question for the class is, what 2 personalities would have thought that whole system up? Melancholy. Okay. Anybody else want to give it a shot? They're telling jokes. They're saving time. Choleric? Okay, now we changed it to choleric. What other personality type? Fun, fun, fun. We got it. Bingo. It would have been a choleric because, hey, saving time. And it would have been a sanguine because fun, fun, fun. Very good. So that is my joke for the evening. I told you the class would be fun, fun, fun. So we're going to go into the powerful cholerics. If we can put up all the strengths and weaknesses. Under the powerful choleric, the strength is fearless activist. They can go where others would not, others would fear to trod. They fix problems, which can be a good thing. And we talked about President Trump last week of how he was a powerful choleric and he was out there fixing problems. Decisive, that's why we thought he was also. Can we put those up on the screen or? Okay, so we're not going to go up on the screen. That's fine. I will go through it. He was decisive, and that is a good strength of choleric. Loves challenges. Remember, we said a choleric, once they finished one job, they were looking for the next one right away. A born leader. They organize quickly. Remember, a melancholy will organize, perfect melancholy organizes, but they do it statistically and it takes some time. Whereas a powerful choleric, bang, 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 they just do it very quickly. Production oriented. They set goals and they're going to meet those goals. They excel in crisis. That's why it's a good president, because we can have a crisis in the country. They exude confidence, which is good to have in a leader. And they're usually right. And we've talked about how President Trump was actually right on pretty well everything. Weaknesses, little need for friends. And they tend to use people. They're opinionated. Excuse me. They can be overconfident. And with that, sometimes they can take on too many projects or think they can do more than they actually can. They cannot relax. And so they have a workaholic tendency. They expect complete devotion. They are nervy. They will usurp authority. Someone is in authority and they will take charge. They tend to be unemotional, arrogant. They manipulate others. They have difficulty saying, I'm sorry. And they do have a fear of losing control. And God says, fear not. I think she's going to try to get those up on the screen. Just look at those strengths and weaknesses. Do you notice that the weaknesses, if you have it in your book, the weaknesses are a longer list than the strengths. However, notice that they get things done. They fix problems. They're decisive. They were born leaders. They organize quickly. They are production oriented, excel in crisis, and usually right. We need strong leaders in certain areas in business, such as a president of a company or a president of a nation. We have already talked about President Trump, which I just mentioned, and how we believe he is a powerful choleric with a secondary popular sanguine. Remember, we talked about people will shout, I love you. And we never heard that with other politicians. And with sanguines, remember, people like them just naturally. They're just attracted to them. They like them. Notice the weaknesses in the powerful choleric and how a popular sanguine can override some of these weaknesses. And that's why it's a great combination. And obviously I like it because I'm a powerful choleric and the popular sanguine. Usually you like me most of the time, except if I don't give you a good grade or something, I don't know. A weakness of a choleric is they have little need for friends, which is the opposite of a popular sanguine. Remember, a popular sanguine loves to be with people, and people really like them. Notice a weakness is unemotional, whereas a popular sanguine enjoys people. But they can also be unemotional, as things usually don't affect them. Therefore, a popular sanguine combined with a powerful choleric can override some of the powerful choleric's weaknesses. We had talked about President Trump being primarily a powerful choleric and secondary popular sanguine as he got things done and people liked him. Looking at the strengths here, you can see where he has been very fearless. He fixed problems. He was very decisive. He loves a challenge, and perhaps that is why he is able to stay strong during all that is pushed against him. He is a born leader. He organized everything quickly. We know he produced a lot. He is excellent in a crisis. He definitely has a lot of confidence, and we have learned that he is usually right. So that's why we ascertain that he was those two personalities together. Both powerful cholerics and popular sanguines are extroverts. They both enjoy being around people. You may have noticed that even during the COVID scare, President Trump was out there shaking hands with everyone. They need people for different reasons. Popular sanguines need people as audience and as friends, whereas powerful cholerics don't need friends. In fact, they typically have very few. When evaluating someone who needs people, ask yourself this question: do they need people for production, kind of like using people as a powerful choleric, or socializing, telling jokes, telling stories? Remember that the powerful choleric wants to get down to business. They're not going to be telling too many stories, or definitely not going to be talking about the weather. We see that President Trump is fearless. The difference between a powerful choleric's organizational skills, as I mentioned when we were going through each type or each strength and weakness, do their organization quickly and intuitively in their heads. Whereas, as I mentioned before, the perfect melancholy will put everything on paper. They need to see it, chart it, and think about it. Remember, the perfect melancholy makes few mistakes, but the powerful choleric is willing to take the chance and move more quickly and fearlessly into action. Powerful cholerics can be arrogant and expect complete dedication from those who work for them. They can be a workaholic, as I mentioned several times, as they want to achieve goals. God bless you. Their only fear is losing control. The book uses Adolf Hitler as an insecure, powerful choleric who could not get enough control to make up for his severe psychological problems, which began in childhood, and that was on page 80. Powerful cholerics tend to be nervy and charge in where others fear to tread, and that's on page 81. Powerful cholerics tend to manipulate people to keep control. The book uses J. Edgar Hoover, director of the FBI for almost 5 decades. Control freak, 5 decades. As an example of manipulating people. He did things such as intercepting mail, wiretapping, and burglarizing, quote, when he deemed it necessary without the approval or knowledge of courts or government. In the workplace, we sometimes find a Hoover in charge, intimidating, frightening, and manipulating others. No one can really love or sincerely admire the powerful choleric who manipulates and who finds sadistic joy in pulling other people's strings. And that was end quote in the book. The book warns to not turn your excellent leadership skills into negatives. This definitely would not be showing Christian love. As you notice, the book lists the positive and the negatives, and when we did the evaluation testing, it also shows the weaknesses. And we're going to be talking more and more about that, and we're going to be, actually, we're going to have the graduate students do something instead of writing a summary of a chapter. I'm going to have them do a project. The undergraduate students will have the option, but I'm going to highly recommend it later on. Are there any questions on that chapter on the powerful choleric? Yes.
Some of these characteristics, if you're not one, I mean, if you're one of the negative, you have to be one of the positive.
Okay.
If you're going to be like spiritually active, fix problems, or organize quickly, you can't wait for the consensus because they're usually wrong.
Okay. The comment was basically, if you're a powerful choleric, I'm going to try to rephrase the question since we don't have a microphone. We'll hopefully have one in the future for you. Basically, if you're this, you really can't be this. And we've talked about that. If you're a powerful choleric, you definitely cannot be a peaceful phlegmatic. They are opposites. Now, we'll get into combinations. And when we get into combinations, we will, because you can have a combination of like we said last week, the powerful choleric and the fun, popular sanguine. Those two really fit nicely together because they both like people, they're both outgoing. So that's a combination that you don't find any struggle within yourself. But then we're going to go into some combinations where you actually can have an internal struggle, such as a powerful choleric and melancholy, which is kind of like you're hinting to, George, because the powerful choleric wants to get it done and the melancholy wants to say, no, we got to get it on paper and we really have to analyze this. And so that can be a conflict within ourselves. And that's why we're going to be talking about the different personalities and how you can work with and understand when you have that conflict in yourself, how to work it out. But like the powerful choleric and popular sanguine, they don't have a whole lot to work out, except the popular sanguine wants to have fun, and the powerful choleric, no, we got to get this done. And you can use it. Remember, we talked about how in sales, it's good to have a powerful choleric who wants to get it done because it compensates for that popular sanguine who wants to just have fun and talk. And so it kind of pushes that popular sanguine to be out with people and they'll like them and they might tell some stories, but the powerful choleric takes over and says, we got to get the order and we got to meet our objectives. So does that help a little bit on that?
One of the things that everybody accuses Trump of being arrogant. You can't do what he's doing, not be arrogant. It's not possible. Right.
And that was one of the things I'm going to go back to the weaknesses. The arrogant is one of the weaknesses. And yes, but he might, and people might pick up on that personality type, and that's a weakness. But as we grow, and we've talked about as we grow in our Christian walk, we work on those weaknesses so that sometimes eventually people can't tell what personality is our root personality, our inward personality. And we talked about that last week about someone who we thought this was his personality and we were wrong because it was learned. So yes, he can be arrogant and when you think about it, he's really pretty humble considering he's a billionaire and he didn't have to take that job. But when you're that successful, you can have some arrogance to it, but I think he really toned it down because he just loves his country and loves the people so much.
And Winston Churchill, he was a bully, arrogant, and a drunk, and rude, extremely rude to people. But he was focused on saving the country. It was in a time of crisis. And I think we were in a time of crisis when Trump was. You have to be singular minded. You have to go with, what you're being lead, and you can't compromise it, and that's arrogance.
Right. It can be seen as arrogance, and that can be a good thing because you're so focused. Right. Absolutely. Good point, George.
So a lot of the weaknesses for Trump were actually strengths.
Can be a strength. Absolutely. Like nervy. All right. They can say that's a nervy, but we're also going to be getting into how you can take a strength and take it to the extreme, and it can become a weakness. Okay.
Or vice versa, your weakness becomes strength.
Yes, because you work on it. So it's good.
This is workplace. So, I get it, PPE it's a personality, but as Christians, we have the Holy Spirit leading us. So that's how we can work on arrogancy or, some of these negativities, to bring it out where you can start aiming toward the peaceful planet. Because we have the Holy Spirit.
We have the peace within us. Yes. And also, as you were saying, as I said before, as we mature, people may not, because I gave you a lot of old history, which, may not be who you see me as today. And remember I said the popular sanguine I had tested a long time ago, so I knew that was my secondary. But when I did the test, and then I did it, a few months ago or almost a year ago, and then I did it again for this class, and that melancholy and sanguine were almost equal, because more detail, more, just little, they come out almost in balance. But also, as I told you, when I did business forms, the melancholy was important because you did not want to make mistakes, because if you made a mistake on a printing job, you didn't get paid. So there was a big motivation not to make a mistake also. Anything on that? Because otherwise we'll go into chapter 10 on peaceful phlegmatic. Are we relaxed yet? Yeah. Why did everyone look at, because Aston tested as a peaceful phlegmatic as his primary, except wearing orange tonight, This isn't loud. This isn't loud. Shall I turn the camera around? Yeah, it keeps throwing us off. From the powerful choleric, we now go to the peaceful phlegmatic, which is pretty well, as I mentioned before, opposite of a powerful choleric. And I've said many times, you cannot be a powerful choleric, that combination will not come about because they're too opposite. And remember, I've said several times, if you have a powerful choleric and they are doing one or the other, if they're phlegmatic and they're trying to be a power, it's masking. And you have to decide really what is the secondary, or what is that people will try to mask and fit the situation to. From the, let's see. As we make the list of strengths and weaknesses, you will see that with the peaceful phlegmatic, there are more actual strengths than weaknesses. Whereas we saw with the powerful choleric, there were more weaknesses than strengths. Were we able to get that, or not corrected? Not corrected for tonight to get them up? No, okay.
This is a quiz question.
The strengths are calm, adds balance, witty. So, you know, they're witty, but it's almost a dry humor more than like the sanguine. They're low key. So is Aston low key? I don't know. They're considerate. They're reliable. Maybe. Because remember, they can procrastinate. They make peace so they can be good in an organization. They can keep the tension down. They delegate well. And I say they delegate well because they don't want to work.
Yeah.
So when they get into the boss, that's great because they can delegate. And we're going to talk about a president of a company that delegated well. And if you are any position, if you're at, you know, higher up, you want to delegate what are your strength weaknesses, so that if you don't do this type of job well, you delegate that so it can help you. They're steady, they're a good listener. Remember, we talked about how a popular sanguine will often find the peaceful phlegmatic in the corner and talk to them because they're good listeners. So it's a great combination for talking. They're an effective motivator. They're kind, consistent, has few enemies. I mean, you know, they're off in the corner. You don't have a lot of time to make enemies. They're a good administrator and they're likable. So they have all that. The weaknesses, they can be stubborn, uninvolved, procrastinate, and that's a major one. They have to be able to get over that and get motivated. They're unenthusiastic, hard to get moving, too peaceful, careless, lacks follow through, dislikes change, and I'll tell a story about that one, and hates conflict. If you remember, I told a story how Peter would tell me, oh, I'll do that, just so he wouldn't have a conflict, but had no intention. And it talks about that in the book. The book states that the peaceful phlegmatic may be the most important piece of the puzzle. How about that, Aston? You like that? Okay. Yeah. Mainly because they can calm the storm in workplaces as they can remain constant, calm, and steady amid the chaos and crisis. They stay calm in a situation where the powerful choleric can make rude and thoughtless comments that can put the popular sanguine into an emotionally and totally distracted state, and the perfect melancholy into deep depression. Remember, we talked about the perfect melancholy tends to lean toward depression. They can get depressed over a schedule change. The peaceful phlegmatic can be counted on to get the job done despite the turmoil. Most of the time. Remember, they like to procrastinate if they come into a snare. Not only will the peaceful phlegmatic keep the work moving, but their peaceful nature will bring balance into the entire workplace and pull other personalities in from their extremes. This is as long as you keep the peaceful phlegmatic moving. Don't let them stop. They are calm and agreeable, flexible and steady, low key, and like I said, reliable once you get them going, as the big weakness is they procrastinate. Remember previously we had stated that if they come upon a problem, they tend to put it aside and may even forget about it. They lack follow through. As I said, once you get them moving, don't let them stop because they are hard to get moving. Instead of looking for the next project, like the powerful choleric, They are content and believe they deserve a rest after finishing a project. The book states that the peaceful phlegmatic will hide their underlying will of iron. They will agree with you to save conflict, but they are saying to themselves, I have no intention of ever doing that. This definitely can cause a problem in a marriage, especially if the spouse is a powerful choleric and a Christian, as they believe that it will get done. They are quietly stubborn, nodding on the inside, but refusing on the, nodding on the outside, but refusing on the inside. And that was page 87 in your book. The personality puzzle book gives an example of Bob Allen, who became the peaceful phlegmatic chairman and CEO of AT&T. He was consistent, reliable, had few enemies, and had worked his way up in the organization. Because peaceful phlegmatics do not make decisions quickly, he passed the decision-making power down the ranks, which worked well for the organization. That's the president I was talking about that was good at delegating his weaknesses. This shows how a peaceful phlegmatic can be a good administrator, as they like to delegate. By making the decision-making power down the ranks, Bob Allen overcame the weakness to postpone a decision in hopes that the problem would go away. They tend to not follow through. In business, it is a good sound principle to staff your weaknesses. And that was on page 88. Peaceful phlegmatics can be too peaceful. They often lack enthusiasm and excitement, especially for the other people's projects. They have low motivation. It is important to place people in their strengths, as we have talked about, not their weaknesses. So it is best not to put a peaceful phlegmatic in, and we've talked about this many times, a sales position. They tend to procrastinate. To quote in the book, they do best in positions where a lot of independent action isn't required and the job at hand has some routine. They need to have clarity, clearly spelled out deadlines. In fact, they don't often like deadlines. Otherwise, if a distraction or complication comes up, it will result in the project being put aside for another day. With good motivation and supervision, peaceful phlegmatics can be wonderful assets to the team. Everyone likes them. They stay out of trouble and can be counted on when the going gets tough. Remember who was a peaceful phlegmatic in our class? Is he reliable? Is he well liked? Is he steady? Has he been promoted because of it? Both in business and, let's face it, and in the church. He has become a leader. Questions on that?
Comment.
Or comments?
No, just because one of the things which it says, I don't give a peaceful phlegmatic too much to do because they procrastinate. And that's one of the things that I do procrastinate on some things, but when it comes to work, I'm actually one of the people who takes on things like too much. And I get it done, but I end up taking them on. You know why? Because other people don't get them done. And it's a pet peeve of mine that if you say you're going to do something, do it.
Yes. I'm hoping that did pick up. Austin was saying that he actually, he is a his primary was peaceful phlegmatic. And he was saying, hey, in business, he'll actually take on things because other people won't get it done and they can't be reliable. Now, what was your secondary FK?
My secondary was perfect melancholy.
Perfect melancholy. That's interesting that you would take on projects. Well, you know, just because that's a weakness, you can turn a weakness into strength. And a melancholy does like to get things done, but accurately. And they will meet deadlines, but you want to give them extra time. Remember, we talked about that? Give them extra time because they want to make sure it's accurate. And so they want to have extra time in case things didn't work out the way they thought it would work out. So yeah, I can see that part kind of helping that phlegmatic.
So I say to the kids, if you want to do something, do it right.
Aha. If you're going to do something, do it right. Any other questions or comments? We have another chapter to do, plus we want to do another personality tonight if we have that. And we're going to go into the various combinations of powerful choleric and popular sanguine, which we've talked a lot about. We can take a quick break if you want, or we can continue. You want to continue? Okay,
Well,
I'm the boss. Yeah.
You can't delegate this.
I know.
And what's interesting is the powerful choleric is supposed to be able to make decisions and quickly. And somehow, I don't know, maybe I was absent when that came along, or possibly because I was put down so much. You know, we talked about how things happen as a child that it can really impact you. And I can be very wishy-washy, which drives my husband really, he doesn't like that at all. And I do have trouble making decisions, and that's supposed to be a powerful choleric, but I do have that as a weakness. I'm just not good at that. It's difficult. And then maybe it's because the melancholy is so strong there too, that they want to be right, because a melancholy really wants to be right. And I tend to be perfect, you know, to that perfection. So that may be why it hinders me, but we'll take a 10-minute break.
Great.
Okay.
I don't care what the rest of
I mean, the next chapter doesn't take that long, but I want to do another personality. I think I have the story. Yes. Okay, the various combinations. We're going to do the powerful choleric and popular sanguine, which we talked quite a bit about last week. The popular sanguine and powerful choleric can go very well together. They are natural personality blends. They are both outgoing, as we've talked about. They're extroverts who need people. Since the powerful choleric is goal-oriented, business-minded achievers who feel the end justifies the means, this can be used to help the popular sanguine to follow through and accomplish the goals. Remember, the popular sanguines kind of get sidetracked. They never crossed the road because they got too involved on the one side. Since the popular sanguine has a lot of charm, it can take away some of the typical powerful choleric harshness. They are both optimists and have faith that in the long run, everything will work out all right. I have been called the epitome of being an optimist. They both tend to be workaholics and are energized by the presence of people, so they can keep going indefinitely as long as someone is around to praise their good works. The other two personalities tend to not be around people. Remember, people can actually drain them. Whereas with the powerful choleric and the popular sanguine, being around people actually energizes them. It's the opposite. Any questions about those two personality types? The powerful choleric and perfect melancholy. We hit on that just a little bit earlier. The powerful choleric and perfect melancholy are interesting combinations as they are both task-oriented types and combine into a wonderful worker. The conflict, remember we talked about there can be a conflict within ourselves, is that the powerful choleric wants it done now, whereas the perfect melancholy wants to make sure it's done right and work out the graphs to go along with it. Both these people want things done their way now and perfectly. The good thing is that these people can achieve just about any goal they set. One thing to look out for is that the powerful choleric is optimistic and the perfect melancholy is pessimistic. So this person may have mood swings. And we talked about the melancholy tends toward depression. The powerful choleric part is high on life when things are progressing and under control, but can plummet quickly into a perfect melancholy depression when there are signs of defeat. And I mentioned earlier that I did notice that in sales. When I made the sale, I was high, but if I lost the sale, it could pull me down. The superachiever perfectionists climb corporate ladders quickly and often become the CEO, but those addressing them have to check on what humor they're in each day before daring to bring up any difficult problems. In the best situation, the perfect melancholy in these people tones down the powerful choleric arrogance, and the powerful choleric's part will keep the perfect melancholy moving instead of contemplating. In the area of personal relationships, they tend to use people for their own gain and throw them away when they don't measure up or are no longer needed. Questions about that combination or comments? Perfect melancholy and the peaceful phlegmatic. The perfect melancholy and peaceful phlegmatic, and remember I said that's what Peter was, produces a perfectionist who wants to avoid problems. The dual desire causes these people to be fighting within themselves. An example, to make this project perfect will cause conflict. I do not want any kind of confrontation, but I cannot do less than my best. Oh, woe is me. What shall I do? This constant inner conflict accentuates the peaceful, phlegmatic indecision and keeps the perfect melancholy part depressed. This should I or shouldn't I debate may paralyze these people and keep them from ever getting on with projects at hand. Remember, the peaceful phlegmatic already has problems of getting to move. The peaceful phlegmatic's tendency to procrastinate, combined with the perfect melancholy need to think everything over thoroughly, can prevent progress of any type. The positive part of this combination, we got to have a positive part, is that the peaceful phlegmatic laissez-faire attitude mellows the perfect melancholy's need to persist until reaching perfection, and the perfect melancholy urge for organization and achievement motivates the peaceful phlegmatic to action. So it can be a good combination. Any questions or comments on those? Peaceful phlegmatic and popular sanguine. Remember, you cannot be a peaceful phlegmatic with the powerful choleric. So we have the peaceful phlegmatic and the popular sanguine. According to the book, this combination is perhaps the most engaging and delightful. Both personalities are relationship oriented, and neither one has any great drive for achievement. They both put having a good time over any serious projects in life. They both have a sense of humor, and when combined, they come to show off with a quick wit and ability to toss off a line that will bring down the house. Peaceful phlegmatic humility that tones down the popular sanguine self-centered nature, and the popular sanguine's colorful conversation brings the peaceful phlegmatic out of his shell. Remember, the sanguines love to go out and be the hit of the party, and they love the tension, whereas the peaceful phlegmatic tends to go into the corner. So the combination does help them. This combination may find one that is irresponsible, unmotivated, and unconcerned over money matters. Nothing is bad enough to get upset over. Let us just look the other way and hope it goes away. Whether this combination is male or female, neither one should be put in control of finances. The peaceful phlegmatic and popular sanguine's desire for fun and attention will win over physical prudence every time. A peaceful phlegmatic may hide how they really feel about anything. As we continue, we want to know our strengths and not turn them into weaknesses. Learn our weaknesses and turn them into our strengths. The popular sanguine needs to know how to not treat things too lightly. The powerful choleric must learn not to come on too strong. The perfect melancholy must learn how not to bore people with details. And the peaceful phlegmatic needs to learn not to avoid issues. I will end with the experiment in group behavior that was noted in the book, Personality Puzzle. Some of you may have read it, but I like this story, and I like it right now because we've had enough information on each personality type to truly enjoy the story and really see how each personality works. This experiment was done with Christian adults who had taken Florence Letier's and Marita Letier's basic class. They felt that they would know how to use their social skills in a group activity. They had been previously taught how to put together a speech. Now the authors of the book thought it would be helpful for them to construct a message in a cooperative group effort. It would be a chance to put the various pieces into action, much as they might do in their real life. They placed them at 5 round tables in groups of 8. So we're going to visualize this. They carefully chose magazine ads that represented clear themes they could build their message on, and they put 3 of these on each table. They did not review the personality puzzle or challenge the participants to heights or brotherly love. They just let it happen. The first hurdle came when they had to choose which ad to use in their cooperative construction. At one table, a powerful choleric reached out quickly, glanced at the 3 ads, and announced which one was the right one. They take control, remember? Another powerful choleric proclaimed, I'm not doing the one you chose until I see all of them. A perfect melancholy said, you didn't let any of us think about it. You can't choose something that fast. This is really upsetting. The peaceful phlegmatic added, I'd like to at least take a look at them. The popular sanguine, seeing the start of trouble, added brightly, this won't be much fun if we fight over it. The peaceful phlegmatic pushed the paper back and said, okay, you decide. I don't really care. At another table, 2 powerful cholerics vigorously went for the same ad and ripped it down the middle. The popular sanguine laughed until the powerful cholerics, both of them, gave him dirty looks. One of the powerful cholerics grabbed a second ad and, without reading it, said, we will do this one. This will work. The other powerful choleric put her arms across her chest and put on an obvious pout. A perfect melancholy, who had tape in her briefcase, worked quietly to put the rip ad back together before the 2 authors could see it. A peaceful phlegmatic reached for the 3rd ad to see what it said. The powerful choleric with the 2nd ad in hand stated sternly, put that down. This is the one we will use. The peaceful phlegmatic put it down. A popular sanguine added, I think they're all good. The powerful choleric ignored this remark and flashed her chosen ad, the 2nd one, around the table quickly for the others to see what they were going to do. There was no need to waste any time talking, she affirmed. We want to be the first ones done. Remember, competition. At a 3rd table, remember there's 5, a powerful choleric had chosen an ad and told the group she had a brilliant idea and instructed them to keep quiet so she could write down her outline before she forgot it. They all sat frozen. A popular sanguine looked up with her big eyes and shrugged her shoulders slightly at us as we approached, as if to say, I can't believe I let her shut me up. As soon as the powerful choleric had her outline written down, she stood up and announced to the group, you will love my outline. To make it easier for all of you, I'm going to the office to run off a copy for each of you. She was so thrilled with herself that she had saved the whole group a lot of work, which they probably not capable of anyway. She was gone before a popular sanguine said, I didn't even get a chance to look at the ads. A perfect melancholy muttered, I don't want a copy of her ideas. At the 4th table, another powerful choleric. Why do we always start with powerful cholerics? Because they're taking charge. Held up the ad she had chosen. She was being kind enough to let the others contribute thoughts and told the perfect melancholy next to her to write these down. A peaceful phlegmatic dared to offer quietly, I have a good idea. The powerful choleric smiled condescendingly as she listened briefly to some muddled thoughts. Then she interrupted and stated, I'll tell you now what she means by that. She took the ideas, made them into an outline that had little relationship to the peaceful phlegmatic's thoughts, and presented them to the group. A popular sanguine asked, "Can't we talk about these ads before we put the speech together? They like to talk." "That would only waste time if all tried to push for our own ideas," said the powerful choleric, who had put herself in charge. At the fifth table, where by chance there were 4 popular sanguines. They were all laughing and having a happy old time, as one told us. We asked if they had chosen an ad yet, and they all talked at once. They wanted to use the Metropolitan Life ad with the popular cartoon character Lucy in the center. "We can have fun with this one. I've got great ideas for what we can do with it. I've always loved Lucy," referring to the cartoon. A perfect melancholy sat dejected in the middle of this muddling. They didn't even listen to my ideas. I hate cartoons, and I like the ad with the path into the woods. One of the popular sanguines just laughed and said, "Her ideas just won't work. Besides, cartoons are more fun." A peaceful phlegmatic put her hands to her ears and said, "This whole group is too loud. Could I move to a different table?" We surveyed the room from the middle, somewhat stunned and not believing what we saw. In less than 10 minutes, 40 Christian leaders hated each other. The powerful choleric shouted to be heard. One stood with her hands placed in the middle of the table, leaning over and pleading, "Listen to me, listen." Another grabbed a paper out of a peaceful phlegmatic. The peaceful phlegmatic sank back almost in tears. As she headed for the ladies' room, she told us, "I think I've got an upset stomach." One powerful choleric stood up, turned her chair around, and sat down with her back to her group. "I don't like what they're doing. I'm just going to write it my way." One perfect melancholy cried out, Why don't we get it down on paper so we can see what we've done?" And another perfect melancholy took a powerful choleric's outline and said, "I'll check it out to see if you have it in the right tenses." The peaceful phlegmatic, who thought her group was too loud, took her chair to the foyer and settled in with her concordance. When we questioned her exit from her group, she explained, "It just wasn't worth the fight." You can see all the personalities. It's the reason I love this story. One group seemed to have settled in, and when we checked the popular sanguine, the popular sanguine said, "We decided to each work on one point by ourselves to stop the tension." A powerful choleric, who was trying desperately to control a group of chatty popular sanguines, called to us, "If they don't stop talking and get to work, I'm going to end up with gray hair and get mad." Here, we thought we had a great idea, and it turned into roundtable chaos. What we had instead was a small slice of life, with powerful cholerics trying for instant control, popular sanguines giving examples galore, talk, talk, talk. Perfect melancholy is trying to get it all down on paper, and peaceful phlegmatics nursing a group headache. Later, in typical peaceful phlegmatic understatement, one of them said, "Oh, we all got a little testy with each other." As we called the whole experiment to a halt, a popular sanguine comedian asked if she could do a review of the groups for their enjoyment. She lined up 4 chairs at a table up front and pointed out, "This is the popular sanguine chair. This is the powerful choleric chair. This is a perfect melancholy chair. And this is a peaceful phlegmatic chair." She then went back and forth, changing personalities, tone of voice, and gestures, and playing all parts. "I've got a good idea. It'll be fun." "That's stupid. We'll use my ad. Can't we think about it?" "I feel sick." Finally, the group began to see themselves. The popular sanguines laughed, and powerful cholerics realized they had hurt the others. The perfect melancholies looked ready to cry, and the peaceful phlegmatic looked at the powerful clerics as if wondering whether they'd mend their ways and apologize. A few actually did, but most were indirect in typical powerful clerics fashion. One said, "I'm the one who went out and got my outlines copied, but I only did it because it was the right thing to do." We learned a hard lesson that day. Without knowledge, reminders, munitions, and specific instructions, we all function at our personality, our own personality. Under stress, our strengths get carried to extremes and become weaknesses. The powerful cleric grabs control and hurts the others. The popular sanguine gets excited and talks compulsively. The perfect melancholy tries to establish order and gets depressed. The peaceful phlegmatic, to keep peace, pulls away and gives up. I think I told you why the sanguine crossed the road. Why did the sanguine cross the road? A crowd on the other side. They couldn't make up their mind. No, that would be more of a phlegmatic. Because they were talking too much. They didn't cross the road because they got too involved with the conversation on the first side. Right. And remember the first story I told, if you're going to have a party, invite 2 sanguines, because one probably won't show up. They get too involved and they forget. Any questions or comments? Because then we'll volunteer for someone to go over their personality test. Yes. Now, any questions, comments? Did y'all like that story? I just really like that story because it demonstrated all the different personality types very well that we have covered. And I thought it was such a good review, and that's why I wanted to. I know it was in your book. Many of you read it, but it's a good review. Any volunteers tonight? How about someone from Zoom? No, no one from Zoom? Okay, and you can unmute mute. Excuse me. I couldn't hear.
Turn the volume up on this. Just this button.
Hello.
Hello.
How did you want me to do this? You just want me to tell you what my highest one is?
No. This is Anne, and Anne's been writing papers. She's doing graduate work, right, Anne? I have the right person?
Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
great. So, since most of us don't know you, we don't want you to give us the answer because we're trying to use the skills and information we've had. So can you tell us a little bit about yourself? I will tell the group that you have been excellent in doing your assignments.
Thank you.
You're welcome. She's on time. They just keep coming right in. She's been kept up to date. Her writing is very good. I haven't found any mistakes. It's been excellent. So can you give us some hints about yourself? And we can see how you're dressed a little bit. It's not loud clothing. If you all, we turn that around. It's not loud clothing. It's, her hair is well kept. Okay, you can see in the picture, her hair is well kept. We can't tell too much about your office there. So can you tell us a little bit about yourself that we might be able to guess how you scored?
Okay, sure. So I think I'm pretty driven by my interest. Mainly my interests are right now following the Lord and just kind of discerning his will. And I keep pretty busy. I I have lots of goals. I have plans, plans for things and goals. I like life. I like adventure. And I don't know if this will help you with my personality. I just love the Lord and really want to serve him. Let's see, what else could I tell you that would help you?
Do you take vacations?
Not a lot of vacations. That's I was more so one that used to do that, but not so much anymore. I'm just kind of focused right now on just discerning God's will and following him and just being used, for his purposes.
Okay, so we're going to go around the classroom. Don't let anyone, write down what you think. Don't change your mind. And oh yes, we have another question. I'm sorry. Do you have any pet peeves? That was a question, not mine.
Yeah, okay. What would that, like, things that bother me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, this might confuse things a little, but so yeah, I do like order. I am a planner pretty much. What else? Yeah, I don't like things messy. Yeah, so I guess that would be my pet peeves.
Okay, we're going to go, any other questions for Anne? Because we're going to go around the room and I want you to say what you think her primary is, what you think her secondary is, and why. Okay, any who would like to start? I've written mine down. It's not going to change, but I don't want to go first. Yes.
Oh, the lyric. It sounds like, I should wrote that down. Like workaholic, that she's driven and things of that nature. Now, the secondary, first I was gonna go with peaceful, pragmatic, because she said she loves the Lord and that, that peace. But then right now, what she said that, I'm seeing that analytical part, so I'm probably wrong on this one. So I switched it to perfect knowledge.
Okay. Don't tell us yet, Anne. And can you hear that, Anne?
Yes.
Okay, great. So I don't have to repeat it. Okay, okay, Aston.
I'm gonna go with perfect melancholy as the primary. And that's just because I heard her say she's pretty organized, likes things in order.
Be sure to speak up.
She likes things in order. I think she said she doesn't, maybe not. I was gonna say doesn't like to tolerate a lot of things, but maybe not. But I have that as the primary, and then powerful choleric as the secondary. And that was just because of some of the things she said, like being in control, but she sounds like she really stays in good control of what she needs to do, being on point and on time. So those are mine.
Okay, so we have a primary perfect melancholy and secondary choleric as Aston. And next. Okay, Gabby.
I think actually we with Anne quite often. She's really good. She's always one of the people that always responds to my emails And she's just very cheerful. She responds very quickly too. She has it like all together. So I think that she's a perfect melancholy as well with the secondary as a choleric. She's also very polite. And she actually comes to our church. I don't know if y'all remember the first time we had graduation. She graduated with Luke.
Oh.
So we did it on a Sunday morning. She was very well put together. And so those are my.
Okay. And we have two more people.
For me, I think she's a powerful choleric because she started talking about how she's very goals driven, how she likes to have things done on time. You also said that her assignments are submitted on time as well, so that shows that she's very committed. She wants to get things done. On the other hand, I think she might be melancholic just because she likes to have things organized. Her hair looks really good. Her clothing is not too loud, and that's my reasoning.
Okay, and George, what do you think? No,
I can't add anything to it.
so which do you think? Perfect melancholy and first and choleric second, or choleric first and perfect melancholy second? Okay, you're gonna pass. That's okay. He's, well. What?
I just don't have enough information.
Yeah, I understand. I missed that.
I said he- I would say peaceful, pragmatic.
Oh. Okay, now, I'm supposed to be right, but you know, I can be fallible, but I thought the powerful choleric, because she is on time, she said that she likes to, she's a planner, well, planner would be melancholy, but she has plans and she has goals. And that is definitely the powerful choleric. I thought the secondary was melancholy. I thought the choleric overcame the melancholy. But you know, her hair is perfect, and her writing is excellent, which I had said at the beginning. So now, would you give us your test scores? What number? Yeah, a drum roll, Ann.
Okay, yes. Okay, so my number one, I am powerful choleric 16. Should I tell you the numbers?
Yes, that'd be good.
Okay, 16 for powerful choleric. No, and you know, I'm not, I have to tell you first of all that when I took this test the first time, I had, I was really conflicted. Like I had sometimes checks on in 2 or 3 columns. But then I heard, you know, what you were saying, that that shouldn't be above 40 points. So I had, you know, I had higher scores than that because I had more than one check in each line. So tonight I went back and I crossed out, you know, the double and triple entries so that I would, reduce my numbers because I was too high, taking more than one out of each
Well,
line.
that's not the perfect melancholy because they would have read the directions, but that's okay.
Yeah, so my highest score is the choleric, the 16. But the other funny thing is that so when the question came up about the pet peeves, I think that I definitely am I do have a perfectionist side to me too. So this is but so my next score was popular sanguine, that was 8. And
We all
then
missed that one.
so I'm dressed very casually tonight in a t-shirt, but I do like I like big earrings, I like color, I'm kind of I like fun, I like adventure, you know. So my next one was my scores so then I have 5. My next highest score is 5 for a peaceful phlegmatic and 4 for a perfect melancholy. So I'm trying, so my score should equal 40. Is that when I add everything up?
No, that's 33.
So, okay,
That's 33. So I'll tell you what, you need to go back and do it again.
okay,
And then next week, maybe, give us your scores again.
okay. All right, yeah, because I tried to do this
Maybe
fast with, yeah,
you
redoing
crossed
everything.
off too many. So there goes the perfect melancholy. But Sandy, you had said sanguine at some point, and because I
No,
forget.
said, so,
Oh,
pragmatic, which is the swivel, but then when you switched about, well, that's why I went with the perfect Valentine.
okay. But you cannot be the powerful choleric and a perfect melancholy combination because they're opposites. There's masking. We've talked about that many, many times. If you're a powerful choleric, you're really not going to be a peaceful, laid back, peaceful phlegmatic. They're two opposite. And
Like
I've
a
had two different counselors. Well, actually, Pastor Bruce and I've talked about this. And he has emphasized that over and over again, that if you have both of those, there's a masking going on. Masking meaning you're putting on this personality
I
type.
have written powerful, choleric, and perfect melancholy.
Yeah, that's what that's what three of us thought.
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting, and we'll look forward to that. next
Okay,
week. And just
okay,
start over all over again and maybe just erase or whatever. to
yes,
start
I
over
will.
again.
Okay,
Because that didn't a total.
Right,
I was able
okay.
to do the math very quickly and okay.
That's-
Oh, and
That's the only way.
and the other thing, Ann, actually I had missed that originally, I think, when I did the original test, but and I had mentioned it in class also, that in the back, if you're not sure what they mean by each word, you can look in the back and it'll give you the definition according to what they kind of mean on the test.
Okay, thank you.
So thank you so much. This was fun, right? This is
Yeah, it is
interesting.
fun.
And I told you the class would be fun. See, that's the sanguine coming out on me. Okay, so who else? Would anyone else like to do it tonight? We still have time. Comment.
We talked about how you can have two opposites. Because you're either masking, right?
Well, the two opposites I have mentioned. I haven't mentioned two opposites other than the powerful choleric and the peaceful phlegmatic.
So the other way around, the melancholic and the same. Is that a possibility?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's those two. It's those two that I said, because I've talked several times with, Pastor Bruce is above me and I can confer with him and I have questions. And I will, in fact, I sat in the office and we talked about it. So if I have questions about the book or whatever, because he oversees all the instructors kind of thing. So did you want to go or did Gabby want to go? Or no one? Okay, Gabby, did you want to go? Yeah, Gabby told me beforehand if no one volunteered, she would go. So this will be interesting. So we all know Gabby fairly well. Some of us know Gabby very well, but to be hope, we have people in other countries listening and taking the course. So Gabby, if you want to come closer to the microphone and tell us a little bit about yourself so that people online or on Zoom or watching this later might be able to, write down what they think and why. Okay, they're not on. I'm still on.
Yeah, I'm just standing off also.
Oh, okay.
But I can put us.
Oh, there I see you. Okay, good. Yep.
I'm Gabby. I like to paint, I like to administrate, that's my job at the school, I'm the administrator. So I do like having things in order. My phone is actually organized by all of my apps are in folders and they're all categorized into different categories and they're alphabetized as well. So that's a fun fact. And I do like switching out my style a little bit sometimes, you know, I got a new hairstyle today, so things are always changing. Let's see. I get tired sometimes, so sometimes I do like to relax. I believe that self-care is really important. So I do like a little relaxing here and there, but I still also try to work hard and get things done. I'm not the most social person, but you know, of course, we love the family of God. So I am around people, but if I wasn't like a Christian or like in church, I'd probably be mostly by myself. And that's also one of the things I kind of like about being the administrator is like I just work on my laptop. There's only 5 people that work in the church, so it's not that many people, and I'm thriving. So, any questions or anything?
Vacations, what kind of, do you take vacations and what
I
type?
do. I love it. When I can. You know. I don't necessarily like trying new things. Like when I was in Nigeria, I went on one of those, what are those things called? The bikes, the moped things in the sand. I did not enjoy that. I didn't enjoy that. So I'm not exactly the adventurous type. I'll try things out with my friends, but I will never be one to just go out and be like, hey, let's go skydiving. Yeah, that would never be me. But if my group of friends was like, hey, let's go bowling or something, I'm like, sure. But aside from that, I'd probably just be chilling at the house, reading a book or something, or on my laptop.
Okay, who would like to go first? I will go last again because of being up here. Anybody? Yeah. Any volunteers? Anybody? And we'll ask Ann.
Sure.
Did you have any thoughts of what she might be?
Yeah, I have a guess. Perfect melancholy as number 1. I'm not sure about number 2 because I couldn't hear everything really clearly, but that's my guess, you know, from what I did hear and from, you know, my interactions with Gabby in the last couple, you know, 2 years, I guess about, yeah. So that's my guess is perfect melancholy. And well, I guess I'd say powerful choleric too, maybe as number 2, just, you know, from what I know of her.
Okay. Next. Oh, all 3 put up their hand. I didn't make a decision. Okay, Aston, go ahead.
I'm gonna say perfect melancholy. And just, I'd say just because of kind of how Gabby talked about her phone and how she keeps things organized. I think that's her primary. And then I think, hearing how she's a little more reserved and not like super outgoing, which I was surprised. I was really, before Gabby came up and talked, I was gonna be thinking popular sandwich
Really?
for secondary, so I'm gonna go with peaceful flag secondary.
Okay, next. Okay, Sandy?
Perfect Valentine as number 1. She likes to be more, where she talks about phone and things of that nature. And then I went with the powerful choleric because I think she's workaholic. She wears so many different hats. And that's my
Okay, and back in the back there, Helen?
This is very. I don't know.
What you did.
I will keep
So I can see how she has different traits from different personality types, how she's able to work all of them depending on where you put her. Like if you put her in worship, oh my God, she is the popular sanguine. She can also be a powerful choleric. Because she can lead, she can thrive, she can be loud, she can motivate people. But then when she's off the stage, she's like, oh, I need to go home, I need to recharge, I need my me time. So that's why I think she has traits of peaceful phlegmatic, because she gets tired and drained by people. She's organized, so she has a little bit of melancholy in her, in that aspect. And I think it comes by profession, what she does, how she needs to be organized. But yeah,
But which one you have as a primary then?
I would say peaceful phlegmatic, because I see her getting drained.
And then another secondary.
And then secondary for that time, perfect melancholy, and then if I were to put a third, maybe popular saying.
Okay, I'll go, before you, tell us everything. I had her as the perfect melancholy because she is an administrator. And then I had her, I thought originally before she talked that she might be a sanguine because she does appear to go out and talk to people. However, when she said that she tends to work alone, and also she had mentioned that people drain her, and that would be a melancholy and phlegmatic together. So, and I have her as a perfect melancholy primary and phlegmatic as secondary, and the perfect melancholy, again, from what everyone said, when she said she had to have things in order and how she had everything in order. Okay, what's your numbers and what is your primary?
The doctor herself. You both were. So.
You are a perfect melancholy.
Yes. For peaceful phlegmatic, so they're very close.
Very close.
Very close. And then I have 3 for sanguine and 3 for choleric.
Wow, that's really low. That's really,
Like was asking, like, how phlegmatics will kind of get elevated to an extent because of their personalities, and
Yeah.
I think that's kind of just what happens here. Just like being likable and easygoing. You know, people want to be in charge of things.
Wow.
and you had it reversed. Let's see, melancholy. You had, oh, wait a minute. No, she thought melancholy phlegmatics. You had it reversed, right?
Yeah. Oh, yes, yes.
And notice here that phlegmatic was 16 and the powerful choleric was 3. Remember, I said they're opposites. And also a major hint was when she said, I have to go home and have my own time. She needs to get away from people. Right there, that canceled out the powerful choleric and the sanguine. That just canceled them right out because people drain her. And remember, she said, it's not so bad here because there's only 5 people. And so she's not going to be around. And I've noticed that getting ready for class, my tendency and be anxious about nothing, that is a weakness of mine. And so she's like really calm, and it's like, how can you be calm? So I'm learning to not be anxious about anything and kind of calm down a little bit because and it's good to have, and that's what we've talked about, the peaceful phlegmatic can stay calm and keep moving when there's chaos all around. So this has been fun. I think it's been educational, because then you can really use what you've learned. Yes.
I was just gonna say, because this happened to me on my job, and it actually gave me an opportunity to share Christ. Because someone who was probably more like, I don't know, sanguine or something like that, where like, you know, she's one of those people who swear like a trucker. When things weren't going right, she's just like, ah. And she finally said to me one time, she was like, Aston, how do you stay so calm? And I have been praying for the door to open for me to share Christ with her, because I see how she was like her personality. And when she said that, that opened the door. So, you know, it was good.
Very good. I've been blessed, excuse me, in business that, as I've said, in 2 different jobs, I was like the only female. And people really respected. That was interesting because, I'm gonna go with that story. But I did have one job where they were swearing in a meeting, and I will not tolerate that. And so when the break came, and I think we have to stand our ground. And so when a break came, I went to the manager and I said, if he says one more swear word, I will walk out of the meeting. And I would. I didn't care. And I was pretty good sales rep also. So there was not one more word of swearing. But before that, prior to that, and that was more recent, whereas prior to that, there was absolutely no swearing around me. And I've been always blessed with that. And that's the reason I was surprised that there was some swearing, because I've always been blessed. I at one time had to go into New York City for business. And I actually had a cab driver open up my door for me. And people are like, what? And I've told my daughter, I said, act like a lady and you'll be treated like a lady. And that's so important. And like you're saying, and in our Christian walk, we act differently. And it's, people can come up to us, or like in business, and say, how do you do that? And then it opens up the door of opportunity. Any other questions or comments? Okay, anything online? Oh, I did have one paper where the person in their paper, we're supposed to do a summary of the chapter. That's what they have to do for graduate. And that person said she wore loud big dangling earrings to church one Sunday, and everyone was going up to her and commenting, and she goes, I am not an outgoing person. I never wore those earrings again. So I commented back, that was using what she learned in realizing that was why. And so I suggested to her when I wrote a comment saying, well, maybe a sanguine who loves to receive gifts, and maybe they can give them to them because they love the dangling earrings. So it's been fun. So we'll just end in prayer then. Thank you, Lord, that you had not only given us different personality types, but you have shown us how, as we walk with Christ, that if we're loud, we can learn to be quiet. We can use the scripture and it will change our lives. And we want to have that change in our life, Lord, to be more like you and to open up the door for opportunities to talk to other people about our walk with you. Thank you, Lord, for having this class be fun, but we're also learning. And we thank you in Jesus Christ's name. Amen.
Amen.